And thanks for joining us here again for the Gill Athletics Track and Field Connections podcast. If you've seen the title, this one's going to be a little different. I don't have one guest today. I've got a whole staff, and I'm super pumped for that. Help me welcome the great staff from Virginia Wesleyan University, the Marlins, by the way. We're gonna find out a little bit more about that. Help me welcome Virginia Wesleyan University, and I'm gonna start with the head coach, Jesse Weiner. How are you, sir?
Great. How about you, Mike?
Man, I'm living the dream. It's April. It was snowing yesterday. I was at a middle school track meet, and it was snowing and freezing. And I'm sure you had the same kind of weather in Virginia Beach, right?
No, it was sunny, nice out. They get a little rain in the afternoon, but that was about it.
A little rain, but what was the temperature? What was like 3 o'clock? What was it?
I think it was in the 60s yet.
70.
Maybe 70.
Hey, that's kind of cold.
It's not bad. We'll take it.
But
It's good spring weather.
But it wasn't snowing.
No.
Yeah, we legit had snow, man. Like, sucks. I'm from Alabama, man. I don't like this stuff at all. I don't know what's going on here. It's almost when we're recording this, it's almost near the end of April. So not a fan at all. Well, guys and gals, I am super excited that you would join us today. We're going to learn a little bit about the coaching staff here and how they got to Virginia Wesleyan, what's got them excited. And then we're actually, to provide as much value as possible to listeners around. We're going to talk about something that the staff did. They fundraised for some hurdles. They had a need for that. We're going to learn more about that, but they did it what I kind of think is in a unique fashion. So I thought maybe what we would do here today near the end is explain how, what, where, when, why, and maybe it'll help someone else out there, whether you're a high school program, college program, maybe some of the ideas that they'll kick with us today will help you with your equipment or travel, uniforms, whatever you're looking to do and enhance your program. So Jesse, why don't you kick us off and maybe introduce the staff, and you're the boss man. You tell us which one's going to start off and tell us a little bit about their journey, but introduce the staff that we have here for the Marlins.
All right. Well, I do have three staff that are not here right now. Jenna Bashal, she's our kind of a multi. She's been with us and without a little bit this spring. She's a PA at CHKD. She actually works with my wife, but she went to University of North Dakota. And her husband's in the Navy, so they moved here, I think, to about 2 years ago now. So she's going to be helping us out with some multi stuff, so kind of all around. Joe Stranges, he's our throws coach. He's from here. He was a high school coach. He's an official, and then he's a middle school coach. He's middle school phys ed teacher right now as well. So he teaches health and phys ed.
Oh, God, he's a middle school teacher, and God bless him.
Yeah, I mean, I know.
I got a kid who's almost a middle school
this whole time. So that was I asked him, like, how do you teach phys ed virtually?
It probably smells better virtually.
Probably a little bit, yes.
I've got a kid who's almost in middle school, and I've just got one, and my house smells. So I can't imagine a whole gym full or class full. God bless you, Mr. Joe, the throws coach. All right, who else?
And then Coach Richard Drake, he is 93 years old. He has coached probably more than all four of us combined coaching experience. So he's probably got 60 plus years of experience. So
we must have had an audio blip there, Jesse, because it sounded like you said Mr. Richard Drake was 93 years old. You must have meant like 63 or something.
No, 93 and still going.
Hey, so fellow listeners, you've heard me talk about to coaches who are 40, 50, even 60 years old. And I do this. You probably think I'm, being silly here when I say you aren't even in the final stretch of your coaching career with modern technology and modern health. And it's only getting better, by the way. You easily could coach to 60, 70, 80, 90 years old. Here's living proof, 93 years old. And what he's coaching the hurdles.
Yep.
So he's not just out there. He ain't got a clipboard and a stopwatch. He's just writing down times. Like he's in it.
Oh, he doesn't even use a clipboard or watch. I mean, sometimes I'll have a watch, but most of the time it's like, that wasn't fast enough. Go back and do it again.
At 93, I'm sure I'm going to, you can hit me up on Twitter at Mike Cunningham and yell at me. I'm okay, because this lends for a joke, but there's definitely a sundial joke there, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's got to be. All right. Well, that's awesome, man. Richard Drake, I know you're going to be listening to this. You're awesome, man. 93 years old and still kicking it. Dude, I hope I'm still doing something as active as you are at 93 years old, my friend. So thank you for your contribution to the sport, track and field. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Well, who else? So those are three coaches that unfortunately couldn't make it today. Again, I know you guys and gals are listening. So thankful for what you do for this sport as coaches. There's no bigger title, in my opinion, than a coach, and specifically inside of our sport. Well, who are these? If you're watching on YouTube, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Who are these two other jokers that are with us here on the video?
So up first is going to be Richmond Lettario. He's our jumps coach. And then secondly, we'll go up with Camilla Alexander, our sprints and hurdles coach.
And then you, Jesse.
Yeah.
You're not going to get off the hot seat here. We're going to find out more about you. So let's start with Richmond Lettario, and let's be respectful here. He did not go through 3 degrees to be called Richmond his whole life. Dr. Lettario. You know, I've had a couple of coaches on here who try to call themselves doctors, you know, like the doctor of hurdles and all that stuff. You are a legit PhD, my friend. Tell me a little bit about how you got to Virginia Wesleyan. You coached the jump. So what's your background at jumps, and why in the world did you not stop after your undergrad or master's degree? What made you go on to get this PhD?
So I actually went to Virginia Wesleyan for undergrad. So I'm from local Virginia Beach. Came here, I pole vaulted mostly here, and then took 2 years off between undergrad and grad school, where I coached jumps and throws and some sprints, and then went to get it's a DPT, so Doctor of Physical Therapy degree. And that was a 3-year program. And then I came back here working for a hospital, children's hospital in the area, and I'm still coaching. So I've coached 2 years, then grad school, and then now I've been coaching again for, I want to say, about 4 more years.
So, you know, I called you crazy a little bit about going on to get your PhD, and then you said you were a pole vaulter. It all made sense. It's like, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense there. Yeah. So how was that? You know, that's interesting to me that you took 2 years off between your undergrad and your next schooling. Was that hard to get back into it after 2 years of the quote unquote real world?
I took classes, a couple classes in between that I needed to qualify for grad school, some prereqs. So I was still doing a little bit of classwork while I was coaching. So it wasn't too hard, but probably physical therapy school was the first time I really had to study. So it was a little bit of learning to really study when I got to grad school.
Did you know, like, was this the end game the whole time, was to become a physical therapist, or was there other thoughts? Yeah,
end game was physical therapist, specifically working with sports. So
in what events? I'm assuming pole vault. You said jumps. Are you doing all the jumps at Virginia Wesleyan?
All the jumps: pole vault, long jump, triple jump, high jump.
I love how the other two were like, oh yeah. You jump, you move over there. Yeah. Which one? And it's unfair if it's pole vault, but which one's your favorite to coach?
Probably triple jump.
Really? What? Now, come on. You just hurt every pole vaulter's heart right there. Because, you know, your pole vaults, that's one of these events where you're supposed to be all in, or you want to be all in. That's not even all in, all out. Like, if all pole vaulters think if you're not a pole vaulter, you wish you were a pole vaulter, right?
I really like pole vault. I really like coaching pole vault. I haven't had much opportunity to coach pole vault until this year. This year, I have a guy who's doing really well. But I've had a lot of success with triple jump, so that probably makes it fun being successful with it. And also I like the technical aspects. I think it's easier to coach somebody to get better in triple jump.
Hey, no, I like that. Let's talk about this a little bit, because, you know, we've had some awesome Olympic triple jumpers on the show before. We had Willie Banks. I don't know if you know who Willie Banks. Yeah. Okay. And just a couple weeks ago, we had Norbert Elliott, the head coach at Purdue, who was an Olympic triple jumper as well. And in that conversation with him, I talked about that the triple jump is a little bit like the pole vault, actually, and the javelin, in the sense of they're like these ostracized events, right? I was a jumps coach as well, and I will tell you, admittedly, I was like, oh yeah, I can coach long jump, triple jump, high jump, love them. High jump was my favorite, but pole vault, like I can't do that. That's something else, right? And there's a lot of throws coaches out there that are in that same boat. They're like, oh yeah, shot put, discus, hammer, even javelin. Oh yeah, we need a separate javelin coach. I can't do that. But triple jump is like that for the sometimes with long jump athletes, and I'm sorry, with jumps coaches and athletes. They're like, oh, triple jump. You can get hurt, and in a lot of athletes, what they say, it hurts and things like that. I'm like, well, if you do it wrong,
Right.
what is it? You talked about that technical aspect? Is that kind of, you went to physical therapy school, so a lot of technicality, right, with the body and movement. Is that what attracts you a lot to the triple jump?
I think so. Just being able to work with, I mean, you can kind of break down the triple jump a little bit more, I think, and as far as just looking at even like how they contact the ground with their foot and their body positioning, limb positioning, the rhythm of it. So I feel like long jump is a little bit more, if you're a good long jumper, you're a good long jumper. I think triple jump, if you've never been taught to bound properly, I think just learning properly how to bound and how to make contact with the ground. I think that's a way to get people better at triple jump. That's a little bit easier than maybe just making somebody into a good long jumper. I think I can coach up more with triple jump.
What's the state of triple jump on the high school level near you? And the reason I ask that is I used to coach at Ball State University, and back then we didn't have girls triple jump in Indiana. Maybe Michigan didn't have it, and maybe Kentucky didn't have that. There were several, recruited states for us that didn't have it at all. So we were either teaching it from scratch or having to go, farther out to find our recruits. What's it like in your kind of Virginia and your recruiting area?
I would say there are some good triple jumpers. I wouldn't say it's equal. I think we have better long jumpers in this area, which I think is natural. But from some of the kids that we get, I mean, I feel like the bounding progressions are where not a lot of people really coach up the bounding progressions. Our best guy right now, first day, freshman year of jumps practice, we said we're going to do bounding, and he didn't know what bounding was. I mean, he was coming in as a 46-foot triple jumper and had never done a bounding workout. So he's all natural. So being able to coach him up in bounding makes a big difference.
That's amazing. First of all, if you'd have said 36, I'd be like, oh, all right, okay. But he was an accomplished triple jumper. This dude jumped 46. That's nothing to sneeze about, and had never bounded before. Does that excite you though, in regards to like the lack of where they're at in their training age and training knowledge? Like, oh, like you come as a 46, we can do some work here and you can become 56 maybe,
Yeah, and that's exactly what we were discussing yesterday is that we have a lot of kids who's good, but their like full training age is actually pretty low, in the way that they just don't have the experience with the structured jump practices, I would say. I feel like sometimes we get kids whose jump practices in high schools were go jump.
Yeah.
See, go to the sand pit for 20 minutes and see you back at sprint practice. So I like working with those kids who come in as good jumpers and then kind of progressing them from there.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's probably most other schools as well, but I think a lot of the jumps age is really low in regards to actual training, actual training, not just, hey, go and jump. Hey, here's what you got to do in the long triple jump. Let's go practice that. I feel like a lot of kids nowadays are just not getting that in high school, which kind of hurts them in their first year when they're kind of getting broken down by Richmond and whoever else their jumps coaches. So
yeah, it's amazing. A lot of things that we talk about here on the podcast is the access to education for coaches today, 2021 versus even 20 years ago, 2001, and definitely versus 1980, 1960, etc. You used to have to go to the library to check out a book. And a lot of people here are like, a library, what's a library? Go to your library, folks. I love my library. But that was how. And then we progressed to where you could do, I remember USATF used to be able to buy a VHS tape, and it would have like all the angles. Like I specifically remember the 100 hurdles for the females at US trials, and you would get the back view, the side view, the front view, and that's how you learned. You'd watch their takeoffs and things like that. And then we started getting into more USATF coaching education, then USTCCA started doing, and now you can literally go to YouTube and probably find some of the great triple jump coaches that are out there with some snippet that you can learn from right now today. Like you're like, hey, this kid might be a good triple jumper, but I don't know anything. It's hard to have an excuse today,
Yeah.
you know, and with social media. And of course, you know, I beat it like a dead horse because I'm a huge social media advocate. You could probably tweet someone right now, you know, and say, hey man, I got this triple jump guy or gal, any tips? And you'd automatically raise your level of knowledge. But I have to think that coaches, smart coaches like you, are kind of like, yeah, it's okay. You don't need to learn. Let them stay a little raw and then come to me, and you know, I can make them better. Well, Dr. Lettario, one of the things that always excites me is when does that crack you up, Jesse, when I stress the doctor part? Hey, let me tell you what, if I ever were to get a PhD, if you ever called me Mike, I'd be like, no, you can call me Dr. Mike, but it would always be doctor, right? I'm trying so hard not to do the Austin Powers, I think it is. You know, I didn't go to 12. I'm trying not to do that joke. So, but one of the things that excites me about coaches is when an alum coaches at their alma mater. Like, to me, that's something like super special. You know, when you're recruiting and someone's like, well, why do you think Virginia Wesleyan is the greatest place? You know, it's like, well, you know, not only do I work here, I'm a product. Like I went to school here. To talk to me about what's it like coaching at your alma mater. And lastly, what's got you excited right now about where you guys are at in the program, specifically with you, but also the team in general?
I really like coaching here, having gone here. It definitely, like you said, it helps with recruiting, especially being a smaller school. People want to know, like, well, if I go to a smaller school like Virginia Wesleyan, like, can I be successful afterwards? And I feel like I'm pretty successful, having gone on to graduate school and got my physical therapy degree. So it's, yes, I mean, I've seen that the people who were my teammates while I was here, like, have gone on to medical school and law school and some pretty other prestigious graduate schools and positions and jobs. So I feel like it's good that I can kind of talk about my teammates and other alumni and other kids that I've coached, knowing that I came from the school. I mean, I had professors that they're going to have who are still here, been through the same programs as they're going to be. So I can kind of speak to both sides of like what it's like to be here and what it's like to be here as an athlete, and being in this situation and managing being a student athlete. I mean, I was a student athlete here, so I know what the class work is like and things like that. So I think definitely that I enjoy coaching back here as an alumni and be able to kind of use that side of it.
Yeah, it's one thing if you're a coach at an institution, it's one thing to say how great your institution has been. And maybe you've been there for 20 years. And so, you know, it's almost like you went to school there, but you're living proof. It's like, oh no, I'm a product. I went to school here. Look where I went on. I went on to become a doctor and help people and things like that. I mean, that to me is just always, anytime an alum gets a job back at their alma mater, I'm always kind of giddy about it. It's something special, very, very special to me. So, and lastly, Jesse, before you, I'm so sorry. I was looking at my thing here. Doctor, I'm not going to call him Dr. Richmond. Don't worry. What's got you excited? I know you got to go. You're busy. You probably got to go physically therapy people. I have no idea what a physical. I probably did have a physical therapist. Is that the same? Like I have bad wheels. I have bad ankles and feet, and I had to go. They had to make me do all the things. Was that a physical therapist that I went to?
Likely, yeah.
Oh, she was lovely. You guys are awesome people. Like it helped me. Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, I'm a big physical therapist fan now. All right, you know. You learn something every time we do these things. Noelle was her name. Shout out to Noelle here in Muhammad. She was great. I loved her. So, but about you, Dr. Richmond, what's got you excited here about the program, where it's going, where it's headed?
So I think what I'm most excited about is when I was in school here, we didn't have our own track. So we would the coach at that time would either loop out a track with the wheel or a GPS watch on the grass field. So we'd use the grass track, or we could get over next door. There's a high school that we would sometimes be able to use their track. So now we have our own track, our own great facility.
Awesome.
We're able to host track meets. We just hosted our first track meet ever a couple weeks ago. So I think that's really, once things are back open up again and we can get more people on campus and get some high school meets going potentially, I think that's really going to help grow the program, not only the benefit of bringing in some additional support with the money coming from track meets, but just getting more kids on campus, especially kids from outside the area, because we are 10 minutes away from the beach. So being able to come see the campus and see how close we are to the beach, I think that will be a big move for the program.
I have to assume, and these are one of these softball questions because I already know the answer. Having your own facility makes coaching pole vault just a tad bit easier. I just lost every listener. They're like, all right, this guy's an idiot. Or of course it does. All right. Hey, Dr. Lettario, thank you so much, man. Really do appreciate you and what you do for this great sport of track and field and for this great program that we're honoring today, man. So thank you so much. Go physically therapy people. And someone else right now is going to be like, oh yeah, my PT, he's awesome. He's amazing. That's what you are. So go do that. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Jesse, where do we go next? I know we're limited in our options. Who should we talk to next?
This one right down here. So another, I guess, product of Troy. We're going to go with Camilla Alexander.
Miss Camilla, how are you?
Hello, I'm great. How are you?
Jesse knows how to, win me over, introducing you as a Troy alum. That's a spoiler alert there. So Camilla, tell us, what do you coach there at Virginia Wesleyan? How'd you get there and what's got you excited?
All right. Well, I coach the sprints and hurdles, and I work with a couple of 800 runners as well. And so how I got to Virginia Wesleyan is from you.
That's a little overplaying it, but I do appreciate it.
I was at Troy for 4 years coaching. I was actually an athlete at Troy as well. So I started coaching right after I graduated college. And going into after my 4th year there, I was looking for a job. The pandemic was upon us. And I was kind of a little nervous and kind of like, I got to go. Like, I have to find me somewhere to go. And you posted the post on Twitter about the job here. And one of my friends, he sent it to me. And I contacted Coach Davis and I was like, hey, can you call Mike and ask him about this job? And Coach Davis called you and that just kind of got the ball rolling. And so that's how I got here.
I think there's 2 important things in that story, Camille, and I appreciate you giving me any credit at all. But to me, there's 2 really important things for young coaches out there and even older coaches, meaning how you run your own programs and your own disciplines. One is network, right? Like who what's that old adage, who gets the job? A lot of times they forget the second part of that. That's just one half of the sentence. The other sentence is what keeps you there, by the way. So don't forget that part. But having a network absolutely helps. So, Jesse and I we've known each other for years now. Like it's one of those like, oh, we just know each other, So Jesse and I were on so the second part of that is is social media. So Jesse had put that out on Twitter. I had retweeted it because I'm always like, hey, there's a position I can help another coach get a job. That's awesome. Let's spread the word, help that program and help another coach. And so Mark Davis, head coach of Troy University, who is also a Connections alum. Go back and listen to Mark and Michelle. We had a great time with them and even had a couple of guest stars. Yeah, I love those guys. Again, Troy alums, so of course I love them. And they're doing an excellent job, by the way.
Yes, they are.
Super job. Way better than when I was a coach. So I'm super impressed. I held the program back, and then people like Mark and Michelle and those guys, Elliot, are making it move a lot forward. So, so network, making sure, know people. And what's the best way to know people, in my opinion, is be a nice person, be interested in other people. This ain't about glad handing people at the convention or following everybody you can on Twitter and things like that. It's about being interesting, being interested, and just being a nice person. That attracts people to you. Honestly. So your network is super important. And then I think that social media aspect is super important. So
sure.
Just so proud, for me, this was when Mark called me about you for Virginia Wesleyan. And I probably messaged you or called you, Jesse, and was like, hey, so-and-so is going to reach out. I've met her. She's a Troy person. So of course she's awesome. But to me, it was just like, hey, let's connect people. And if it works out, awesome. If it doesn't, hey, that's okay too. That means it just wasn't meant to be. And there was you'd be at another place where you were supposed to be, but right now you're supposed to be at Virginia Wesleyan, which is awesome. So talk to us about, You said you coach sprints and hurdles. So does that mean Mr. Richard Drake, is he like your assistant? Like,
Yes.
how's that dynamic work? That seems a little interesting.
Coach Drake, he comes out to our practices when we hurdle, which we hurdle on Mondays and Thursdays. So every Monday and Thursday he's out there, and on Saturdays when we have Saturday practice. And he comes out and he helps me and he gives me his little wisdom of what, he thinks we should, have going on or what's going on with that specific person. And we kind of work together to be able to help the athlete. So.
Now, as a young coach, when you were going through undergrad and you were competing, was coaching in your mind, like this is maybe what I want to do for a career, or how did that come along?
No, not at all. I think like I've always like been fascinated with like summer coaching. And like kind of like, oh, when I get in my career, I want to have my own summer team one day and like just do that on the side. And so after I graduated from Troy, I actually didn't graduate in exactly 4 years. I had another semester after graduating. And so my first semester, and my last semester in undergrad, I coached. And then, I graduated in December, and there was the opportunity for me to go to grad school. And I was like, why not go to grad school? And so even still then, I didn't think coaching was what I wanted to do long term. And then when I started doing my internship, so my master's degree is in counseling, rehab and clinical mental health counseling. And my last semester in my degree, I was doing my internship. And so I was having to go from like my internship to practice back and forth. And I realized that I'm not a desk person. Like sitting at a desk is not what I enjoy. And I was always at my internship wondering what was going on at practice or what I was missing at practice or trying to hurry up for my internship so I could get to practice. And that's when I realized that, I have a job of coaching, but I don't feel like I work, and that's always what you hear, you enjoy what you do, you won't work a day in your life. And I think that's when I made my decision, like, hey, I talked to Coach, I was like, this is what I really want to do. Like, I want to be in here for the long run. I'll finish my degree out. But I want to be a coach. So
that sounds like track coaching, the profession, pulled you in. Like you were doing something else. You were on another track, but your mind was always like, what's going on back over there? Hey, maybe you caught yourself writing it like, okay, for today's workout, we could do X, Y, or Z. Seems like it just kind of pulled you in.
Yeah, I couldn't get away from it.
I bet Richard Drake would say that same thing. He's like, yeah, 70 years ago, it pulled me in, and here I am, 93, helping out. I love that story. It's just so awesome. So, as a young coach, what are some mentors that you lean on? You're still learning. Obviously, you had a good background as far as your own athleticism, but being an athlete is different than being a coach. Who are some of the people that you kind of lean on and, I need help. What do you think here? I've got this athlete that does X, Y, or Z. Who are some mentors in your coaching career life? So
we have all of my coaches at Troy. I still keep in good contact with them. Coach Davis, Coach Blount, Reynaldo, he's at Grand Valley. And Josh, he's at Corpus Christi. We all kind of share each other's workouts every week. We also have like a young coaches group chat. We got Josh from Southern Miss. We have other Josh from Corpus Christi, Rad, Kenny from Chris Methodist. I'm missing the name. He's gonna kill me. Kenny Anderson from Methodist, and coach from Lee University. So we all kind of get together on Zoom calls, and we kind of get together and talk about workouts and all that kind of stuff. So just having all of them as a support group, I probably missed a couple too, but we just all get together and talk about workouts all the time, and they've been very helpful, especially for me being a young coach. And we're all fairly young, but just even all the little knowledge here and there has helped me out a lot.
Yeah, I love that idea. For a couple of reasons. One, like I'm a big believer in crowdsourcing. Do you know crowdsourcing, right? So like crowdsourcing, the idea would be here, we have three, the doctor had to leave us here, but so we have three people here. The three of us are smarter than any one of us individually, right? It makes sense, right? It's like, oh, well, you got some knowledge that I don't have and you do, vice versa. So I believe like when you get 100 people together, well, you're going to be even smarter. So for you to use this network of young coaches in the, call it 23 to 30-year-old range, like you guys are, because what you're doing is you're also using your own individual their own individual networks. So Josh now at Corporate Christie, he's got other coaches that are pouring into him. Well, you're getting the benefit of that because you're like, oh yeah, you know what? Josh says we did this workout because the head coach, he's best friends with Tom Telez, and he used to do this type of workout. You know, you're putting many minds into one. So I love that kind of connection, that group chat, those group Zooms, which, you know, now it's commonplace to do that. We didn't have those back in our days, Jesse. We used to have to pick up the phone and rotary dial or something. I don't know.
What I really love about it is and I think I tweeted about this a long time ago, but like we're all from different divisions. So like, you know, Division 1, Division 2, Division 3, NAIA, JUCO, it's just all different kind of universities and divisions, and we can all come together and be able to compare and work together with each other.
I love that. That's a great tip for you out there. Don't be on an island if you're a coach. And honestly, I don't care if you're in your first, second, third, fourth year of coaching, or if you're in your 20th, 25th year coaching. Don't be on an island. You can maybe have success that way, but you will have a lot more success if you use your network and leverage that. And then also you'll be able to give value. You have your own knowledge and experiences that you can give to others. That's awesome. What a great example there, Camille. I really appreciate that. So what's got you excited? Are you is this second year?
No, this is my first year.
This is first year.
I haven't finished this year yet.
COVID messed everything. I don't know what years are what anymore. So you're in your first year here at Virginia Wesleyan. What's got you excited? How's recruiting going? What's the season look like for you?
Recruiting has gone really well. I got a couple more spots that I'm looking for, but overall, like recruiting has been really well, and I'm excited. I'm excited to finish this year out, but I'm extremely more excited to get into next year with my own recruiting class, so we can be able to continue to build this program up. I just looking at where these athletes are now from where they were before, even from where they were in August and where they are now, they're just a completely different group, mentally, physically, just all around, just a completely different group. And I'm just looking forward for us we're going into conference next week. I'm looking forward to getting into that and getting prepared for nationals, and just continuing to build a good program.
Where's nationals for you this year?
It's North Carolina A&T.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Greensboro. Right. Yeah. Have you been there before?
We went, what was that, 2 weeks, 3?
Yeah. So it's a really nice facility. Like, people talk about, the quote unquote Power 5 schools and what have you, as far as their facilities. And certainly there's some nice ones out there, for sure. But NCAT is always, it's like this, I don't want to call it hidden gem, because I mean, they've had some huge meets there, from regionals to now, NCAA champs. AAU, I think, goes there quite often. And of course, I got to give a shout out to a good friend, the head coach at NCAT, Dwayne Ross. Love him to death. He is obviously killing it. If you have no idea who he is, you have no idea about collegiate track and field right now, because they're on fire and he's doing a great job.
They're hot right now. Yeah,
they are. It's been years of preparation to get to where he is. He's built.
Like, you want to know it's crazy? Who knows him? Is Coach Drake coached him. Our Coach Drake, our 93-year-old Coach Drake.
No way.
Yeah, he talks about him all the time.
Yeah.
That's funny. Holy cow. That's awesome.
He's like, y'all go down there, you got to make sure you talk to him. I was like, okay.
No, it's really true, because not only, he was a great athlete, of course, and of course you can hear his whole story. He is also a Connections alum. We had a great time with him about 2 months ago, I think it was. Not only a great athlete, love his story of how he ended his career, by the way. He put his sneakers at the very last race. His sneakers, how old am I? He took his spikes at the very last race and put them in the garbage. That was his symbolism of like, my career is done. I'm done. And then went private sector, and then came into coaching, and has just done a phenomenal job. I mean, in a great person. That's what it's the icing on the cake. He's also just a great person. Okay, but we're not talking about him. So good luck in Greensboro. And you told me what's exciting. That's awesome. Okay, so Camilla, is it time? Should we introduce the big boss now?
Yeah.
And talk to him? Yeah.
Go ahead.
So Mr. Director of I made sure we talked about Dr. Lettario. We got to get you a title, Camilla. We got to find some, actually the best title you can have is Troy alum. I mean, let's be real honest here. But Director of Track and Field, the head coach, the head honcho, the man with the plan, Mr. Jesse Weiner. Jesse, so tell me, let's start with, how did you get to Virginia Wesleyan? Why? Because you were you were doing good where you were. What made the change? Let's talk about where you were and how you got to VWU.
Well, my wife and I were looking just to kind of get back to Virginia or maybe North Carolina, that kind of area. And my buddy over at Randolph in Lynchburg, he resigned. And I'm like, hey, and I saw it. I said, hey, should I apply for your job? And he said, no. And I'm like, oh, all right.
Wait a minute. That's a heck of a question. A guy resigns and you're like, hey man, should I take your job? What do you think?
Yeah.
I love that.
But he said, hey, you should apply for the Virginia Wesleyan job. My old AD is there. It's a great facility. They just have a brand new track, things like that. And I was like, all right, well, I'll throw my resume in, see what happens.
Where were you? Let's make sure everybody knows where you were.
So I was at Aldous and Broadus, Division II school in West Virginia, now in the Mountain East Conference. They just switched back. I was in 3 different conferences while I was there.
Oh, wow. Is that right?
The WEBIAC, and then we went to the GMAC, Great Midwest Athletic Conference. And then right when I left, they were going back to the Mountain East.
How, as you were the head coach there.
Yep.
How is that a struggle going to the different conferences? Like, how much of a hindrance is that or not?
Well, we went from a good conference to probably one of the best in D2, I believe at this point in time, because now Ashland's going to be joining the GMAC, or they might have already. Tiffin's there, so that was It's
funny. I was about to say shots fired. Ashland and Tiffin just got upset with you, but that's their conference. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, they're in that conference.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I mean, that was tough. And being in West Virginia, recruiting a lot of West Virginia kids, I did a lot of out of state.
Mm-hmm.
So Maryland, Virginia was kind of my more hotbed, just because I knew there were better athletes kind of there. But I mean, there were still good athletes around where I was, because I knew a lot of the coaches. I was there for 8 years. So, but yeah, so I applied at Virginia Wesleyan. The AD gave me a call a couple weeks. Actually, I was getting ready for our high school cross country race that we were hosting. And I was actually weed whacking the course, and I'm like, who the heck is calling me? I'm like, it's a 757 number. I'm like, all right, well, I'll just answer and see what happens. And she says, hey, I want to do an interview. I was like, well, I'm kind of busy right now. Can we call back in like a little later? So, and then it all happened, and
hey, that got you brownie points. And what I mean by that is, like, look at the head coach out there working. I'm the head coach. Someone else can do that. Out there in the dirt, getting it ready, man. I love that. That's awesome. So what had you excited? You had opportunities. You had opportunity to stay. I mean, you didn't have to leave. And I believe, were you also some part of the administration?
Yeah, I was a assistant athletic director as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, you got a job, a good job, possibly would have even had other opportunities. What was it about Virginia Wesleyan that was like, okay, this is the right place for me now?
Well, one thing I always told my wife when I was applying for jobs was I was never going to take a lateral move. And I wanted a place to have a track. I wanted a facility, because I never had a facility.
Yeah.
So that was my number one thing. And when I came on campus, that was the first thing I saw. I was like, oh my God, I have a track. I was like, okay, first box checked.
Right, yeah.
And I've coached in Division III already. I was up at Adrian College for almost 2 years.
Yeah.
So I really like Division III. And I went to school in Division II, so at East Stroudsburg. But I really like Division III. It's a great mix of academics and athletics, and I feel like we're a little bit more intelligent, GPA and academic wise.
Oh man,
I feel like
Please send all your hate tweets,
right,
to Jesse. All right, I did not say that.
But no, I mean,
get where he's coming from.
Yeah. Now I had, I think, 5 straight years of every one of my teams being all academic at Aldous and Broadus. So I did recruit, I thought, the more intelligent kids.
Mm-hmm.
So I've
Well,
always tried
they-
to have my teams be all academic.
they had to be smart just to say the name of the university. I mean, I still
That's all. Hey, that's why it's just AB.
well, that's why I went to Troy. It's like, oh, TRO, I can spell that. All right, that's how I got in. That was actually the application process to get into school. Was do you spell?
Troy and your name.
You know, that was if you wanted to get into the honors program, sir. I wasn't going for that. I just needed to get into school. So you go to Virginia Wesleyan, you got a facility. That's huge. No doubts. Absolutely. Hands down. So let's pause right there before we get into you at Virginia Wesleyan. Tell us a little bit more about Virginia Wesleyan in regards to, I'm so lack of intelligence. I was in Virginia Beach and didn't know that you were in Virginia Beach, or I would have visited. I was there visiting the new Virginia Beach facility that opened up this winter. I think I came home and tweeted. So see, Twitter's good and bad. It got me in trouble. And I was like, hey, it's great to visit Virginia Beach. And you were like, dude, I'm like 17 minutes away. Why didn't you visit? And I was like, oh man, I had no clue where you were. I'm so sorry. So tell us about the school. Like, how big is it? What are kind of the most popular majors? What's it known for besides one of the coolest, most unique mascots? By the way, and I was going to do this with the doctor. I'm representing today.
Perfect. There's a reason why I wore this shirt today. I was hoping you would have had it on.
Yeah, if you're not watching on YouTube, I proudly wear my Virginia Wesleyan Marlins shirt, man. I love it to death, my track and field shirt.
I gave one to our baseball coach, and he has said it is the softest shirt he has ever worn in his life.
Oh, no doubt. No, this is really, it's a great feel. And this is not a commercial for Under Armour. I believe it's Under Armour. But yeah, this shirt was like, it was legit. Like, it's comfy. No doubt. And it looks cool because it has a stinking marlin on it. You know, I love that. It's just so cool. So tell us about the school, how many students, majors, that kind of thing.
So we have about 1,500 students on at the school. Probably about 200 to 300 are online. Great thing is right now we're about 90% online or in person.
Oh, nice.
Doing a lot. And we're planning on 100% this fall for in person, which is great for our students. I love that part.
Yeah.
We have some pretty big majors. Environmental science is really big for us here. We also have marine science.
I was going to ask, you got to have some kind of marine biology type, right? You're right there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have the Norfolk Botanical Gardens, which is maybe 10 minutes away from here. So a lot of our students get internships over there. So they learn a lot about everything kind of environmental wise. And then a marine science program also, we share a boat with the Norfolk Chesapeake Bay Academy or something like that, I think it's called. They go out and boat. They do check the oysters out and do all kinds of stuff like that. So we have two, I think either 250 gallon or 500 gallon tanks down in our Greer building. So they have all that stuff down there. That's all our biology, environmental science, that kind of base stuff. Someone's
job description out there is, I check the oysters out. It's like, what do you do for a living? I check the oysters.
Exactly what. I've never been on the boat yet. I'm waiting for that invitation soon, hopefully.
Yeah, I'm not a huge water guy, so I'm okay with that. But I just think it's funny. It's like, hey, what do you do? Oh, I coach track and field. Oh, what do you do? Oh, I check the oysters out. It's like, oh, okay, cool.
We have a lot of oyster farms here. So
is that right?
That when I moved here, yeah.
Are you a big oyster guy?
Oh yeah.
Are you really?
Oh yeah.
Camilla?
Never had them.
Yeah, we're in Alabama. We don't do that stuff.
He's gonna have it soon.
Yeah. Hey, I don't know about the oysters there. I'm sure they're lovely. In the Gulf Coast, they're terrible. So when I was a kid, they tried to have me eat these oysters, and it wasn't happening. But about 8, 9, 10 years ago, I was up in Boston with a now former teammate and one of our basketball people, and he was a big connoisseur. And he's like, "No, we're gonna get some real. This ain't Gulf Coast oysters. We're gonna get some real ones, right?" Like, I didn't know I guess I knew there were different species, but I only knew of one, the big ugly one from the Gulf Coast, right? And so we had all these, it must have been Chesapeake. That's got to be your area, right? Yeah, I bet it was Chesapeake. And I tell you what, Camille, he won't steer you wrong. They're not bad. They're unique. They're not bad. I'm actually an oyster fan now. Not Gulf Coast oysters. I won't eat those. And it doesn't seem right to eat them cooked or whatever. Fried oysters, all that. I'm not a big fan of those. So, but you must have like outstanding seafood in Virginia Beach, right? Like, come on. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, most of the time I'll just go down to the fish market and go grab something that they just brought off the boat.
That's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. So what has got you, is this your first or second year now?
I'm in my year and a half right now.
Year and a half. Okay, that's fair. Again, this COVID thing, I don't know
I know.
who's been where, how long. Do you count it as a year? Like if you say you're a 20-year veteran, it's
I'm in
really
year
19.
two. How about that?
There you go.
I'm entering my year two.
Yeah, always count seasons. Like, oh yeah, I'm in season 2. Yeah, we all know what that means. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, we didn't talk about what do you coach? Let's make sure everybody knows the positions you coach.
I am the cross country and then long distance, mid distance, steeplechase coach.
So you're the events that I never liked. Well, I didn't coach them, but it's just too far. It's just too far. I mean, that's the bottom line with distance, right?
Hey, there's a pole vault crazy and there's a cross country track crazy.
That's a good point. And
there's those
Yeah.
there's smart ones.
Yeah.
Oh, the cross country ones?
No.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the cross country people.
The sprinter and jumpers and hurlers. The smart
Gotcha.
ones. You got the crazy ones and you got the smart ones.
Well, I know I just guaranteed myself cross country distance coach hatred on Twitter. I'm gonna hear about it, and I'm gonna tell them just go for a run, calm yourself down, just go. Maybe
there are days that you do that. There are days.
Yeah. There's a lot of people who train, like their Sunday long run or whatever is longer than I drive to work every day. That's why it's crazy to me. It's like I can't do it.
Some of my guys go on 2-hour runs.
2-hour runs.
Yeah. Or long runs.
So what do they do? No, I'm going to say this. It's going to sound insulting, but I'm talking about myself. So what do they do after the first mile? Because that's how long it would take me to do them.
Well, we try to go on the trails and stuff. So trying to get off the beaten path so they're not just doing loop right here.
I imagine there's got to be some pretty places to run. Like you talk about trails and stuff like that in parks.
First Landing State Park is where we try and do a lot of our longer runs down there. It's right along the ocean front as well, so you can kind of hit some of the ocean front and trails in the park there. So there's a lot of land back in that area that they can get to. And you usually don't run. I mean, maybe if you're running 2 hours, but usually you don't hit the same path twice.
Wow, holy cow! Do you ever have them run on the beach and drive by them playing the Chariots of Fire song?
I didn't have to start that.
I wonder. Hold on. See, she didn't react.
I understand.
Yeah, Camilla.
She's got to learn it.
Do you know the Chariots of Fire and the Chariots of Fire? Oh my goodness. All right. For anybody listening who has no idea what Jesse and I are talking about, you have homework. Just go to YouTube and Google Chariots of Fire. I'm sure it'll be the first thing that pops up. There's this iconic, and it's actually, if I remember right, the people I've actually never seen the movie. I just know the clip. The people in that clip are famous people, like not the actors, but like who they're representing, right? Like Steve Prefontaine. It's not Prefontaine, but it's like people, maybe Emil Zatopic or something like that. I'm not sure who.
I don't know the exact.
Yeah, it's someone. It's people famous, but they have this, this iconic scene where they're running, and I'm pretty sure they're on the beach, and that's why I made that crack. But they're playing this song, which I guarantee you, I'm not going to try to hum it or sing it right now, but when you hear it, you have to, it has to be so iconic in distance and track and field world that you'll recognize it. But go Google it. That's your homework. When you're listening to this, go Google Chariots of Fire, iconic, and then you'll get that joke, which means it was a terrible joke because I had to explain the joke. So half the people understood it. The other half were like, what's this dude rambling on about? So Jesse, as the head coach, what are, we all have our struggles and we all have our positives, right? What are some super positives? You're at a Division III program, which has a lot of positives in its own, right? Some people think just because it's the number 3 comes after number 2 and number 1, it's a lower level. It's just a different level. So what are some positives as the head coach of Division III Virginia Wesleyan?
I think we have a ton of room to grow. Now I've been here for a year and a half, and I think recruiting class wise, we've just been kind of exploding the last year and a half now. So I know Camilla's done a heck of a job with this year's recruits on her side. So I'm really excited. We are actually just talking about how many recruits are coming in right now. I think we have 19 deposited at this point. So getting closer, and that's probably, and it's only April 22nd. That's really early for track, just because some of these kids haven't even started their track season yet. So
yeah, that's a great point. Here in Illinois, they just started. This is the first week of competition.
I don't think Virginia started yet either. I mean, there maybe one meet.
Wow.
So high school track is just starting, and I feel like we're going to get a good amount still coming in. And
do you think,
yeah,
as someone who's been from Division III and now back to Division III, so there's a lot of chatter, appropriate chatter amongst coaches, Division II and Division I, about scholarships because of the amount of kids that had another year that came back. And so that took some scholarship money, and, the extra years and things like that. And so there's a lot of like, hey, don't wait around. If you get an offer, you might want to accept that.
Yeah.
Does that trickle down to Division III? And what I mean by that is, are you seeing, and maybe it's too early, we're recording this in April, and like you said, we're still a lot of a lot of states are just now cranking up for their seasons. But are you seeing, or do you believe you will see kids who are waiting for that quote unquote big time offer, and it's not going to come because maybe other kids have taken it? Do you see that or predict that will flow down? Like, okay, well then you as a Division III will get higher quality athletes because of that? I'm not sure if I'm asking that.
Yeah, I think so. We see it all the time. I mean, even in Division II, you see it. You wait, that kid is just running right here, jumping right here, and they think they're going to jump all the way up here, and they might trickle up a little bit, but a lot of those kids do fall into our lap, which is awesome. I feel like that's how our one of our triple jumpers is here. I mean, he just pretty much got recruited a little bit and came in and was good. I mean, he's just a gifted athlete. So, but I feel like a lot of kids like that are going to keep continuing to, just because they just haven't had those full seasons yet. And I was actually talking to some of our coaches the other day. This year and a half that we really haven't had too many competitions, I think that was really great for our sport, because we were just training the whole time. I mean, all these kids that are breaking these records, and I mean, the 60-meter indoor record, Grant Holloway, he was just training. I mean, training. Those guys weren't racing, so they just got to put a whole lot more training in. And I feel like this summer, not only with the U.S. trials but the Olympics, I can see a lot of world records and championship records going down. That's my opinion. I feel like our sport's gonna be the best at that, just because we've been able to do all that training without having to worry about competing at a high level and peaking at this point in time, and just continue, just go.
Yeah,
I feel like that's been big for us.
It's interesting, right? Because you've got so much at play, and it's so hard to boil it down to one thing, right? But like different things that I've heard is, in 2021, we're seeing performances that are really 2 years in the making. Like we really didn't see them run since 2019. So if you were to compare a sophomore's time to the senior, that's kind of what we're seeing. But we forget about this blip that happened in 20. Like we didn't have competitions. That's one thing, right? So they've been training, to your point, they've been training the whole time. So they're a whole year older, training age, physical age, etc. Another one is the motivation side of it, right? Like, oh, I didn't get to compete at all last year. I better not take any of these opportunities for granted. Like I don't care if it's a dual meet versus the local YMCA. I better bring it every time I step on the track. The other I've heard from other coaches, this is not your equipment guy coming up with this theory, but that maybe we were overdoing it as coaches. We were just, hammering them on practices every day. So the stress levels of the body, and we got a natural break. So now we're seeing, how do you compensate? How do you super compensate in your training, right? You have to rest. So we had this forced rest with coronavirus, and now we're seeing athletes super compensate. And so we're seeing fast times, fast jump or long jumps and throws, etc. There's a lot to it. There really is. It's not one thing, but I think it's an amalgamation of all of it. The great news is, as fans, which a lot of coaches are, you're not just coaches, you're fans. You like to see performances fast and far and things like that. We get to enjoy it. Like we get to sit back and see. I was at the Division II indoor meet. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Man, those boys and I guess they're in college, guys and gals, super big jumps, super big throws. The 60-meter guy ran like 6:53, I think it was. I mean, it was outstanding. And to me, the indoor is always a preview to what outdoors is going to be. To your point about what we're going to see at NCAA's Division I, Division II, and Division III. We're going to have a Division III outdoor championship. That's awesome. And then the trials, and then the Olympics, hopefully, right, coming up. That we're going to see. We're going to see some cool stuff, man. I mean,
A
it's
lot of track this spring.
What's that?
They said we have a lot of track this spring and summer. So
right, exactly, man. That's so awesome. I'm super pumped. Love seeing it, and I love how kind of the start of the season was Ryan Krauser first throw world record. Like that kind of like set the tone. Like, oh, this is what 2021 is going to be all about right here, man. Loved it, love it, love it. Shout out to Ryan Krauser. I love him to death, man. Okay, so we talked about, you got a lot of positives there. It's beautiful. You got to eat all the oysters that you want. I'm sure that's in your training room or something. I don't know. You've got a physical therapist on staff. Now that I know what that is, that seems like a great thing. See, it's a good thing I'm not on your staff, because he would never have time to help the athletes. He'd always be on my bad wheels, man. I was just in the boot the other day. I should have gotten counsel from him on how to help out here, because it's not good. But so what are some struggles that you have? Everybody, no matter where you're at, if you're you know, no one's going to believe this, but even Oregon has struggles. Okay, I know everybody looks at the track and the results, and it's like, oh, it's utopia, it's perfect. It's might be pretty close, but even they have struggles. Everybody has their own individual struggles, getting kids into school, travel, etc. What are maybe some struggles that you deal with there at Virginia Wesleyan?
I mean, pretty much the basic struggles. I mean, we want to have a class block at this point, so we can all practice at the same time. I mean, this year has been pretty tough on all of our event groups, because we all went in pods this year just because of Corona. So, I mean, my athletes had to wake up every morning at 7 a.m. and go run. That was all the distance runners. We just planned on doing that. I know Camilla, she's had 2, 3, 4 practices a day, just kind of splitting her groups up. So I feel like the time crunch is the tough part. But I feel like a lot of schools do have to worry about that. Camille, I think that's something that would be tough on your block, right?
Not I prefer the the practice block. Me personally, I mean, we had it at Troy. So it wasn't like it was a culture shock for me here to do it. I can actually focus more on what I'm doing than having all 20 of them out at one time. So I personally like it.
So you kind of see that going on regardless if we have coronavirus restrictions or not. That's kind of your style, if you will. Yeah. Interesting. Well, one of the things that a lot of us do struggle, it is a lot of commonality struggles, right? We're all in the same sport, no matter what divisions we're at. We have a lot of the same issues. And one of those issues, specifically for track and field, unfortunately, is budget, right? It's and it's not, my experience working with universities around the country and high schools around the country, it's not necessarily the budget. It's really the priority of the budget inside the athletic department, because I've yet to see very many football programs not be able to get an extra set of uniforms, etc. Do you have football at Virginia Wesleyan?
No.
Okay, good. I didn't just tick off I was making sure I didn't tick off the head football coach at Virginia Wesleyan. Phew. Okay, all right, good.
No football coach, no problems there.
Yeah, good. Do you have someone who dresses up like a Marlin? Do you have one of those mascots?
Yeah, we have. He's called Bob the Marlin.
Bob. Not why Bob? Well, not Martin the Marlin. Why Bob?
Dreads. Bob Marley. Bob the Marlin.
I gotta go look that up. That's awesome. I was expecting like this fish flopping around. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. So one of the things, and I say struggle, meaning it's the universal struggle for budget. And, you hosted your first track meet a couple weeks ago, which, by the way, congratulations, man. That's so awesome. It's unlike anything to be able to have the athletes compete in front of their family, friends, teachers, etc. It's awesome to travel. Everybody thinks that's the coolest thing in the world, right? But there is something special about competing on the track where you daily blood, sweat, and tears occur, right? So congratulations to that. Part of that process was you needed hurdles, you needed new hurdles. And I know Camilla was probably bugging you. Hey man, I'm the hurdles coach here. We got to have hurdles. And Richard Drake was like, I'm 93 years old. I'll build my own hurdles. I know that's what he was thinking. That dude's just, he's handy. He would have built his own, right? So you went on a mission, I will call it, to get new hurdles. And I thought, well, if you're having that issue, well, there's other people that are absolutely having those issues. So talk to us about the project, the mission of getting new hurdles there at Virginia Wesleyan.
Well, that was I mean, we built the track, we had pits, we had all the other stuff. But we were missing hurdles. And I'm like, why don't we have hurdles? So that was our first problem. I was like, okay, we got to fix this soon, because the AD was talking to me about hosting meets, and I'm like, I can't host a meet. What do you want me to do without hurdles? I can't. That's 2 events, 4 events technically, men and women. So I don't know if it was before Camilla got here or soon after that we started this hurdle fundraiser, and it was 80 people to donate $160. That was our plan. And just to kind of go forward on that, it was just something that we thought would be somewhat, I don't want to say easy, but doable. So we got on it and made some flyers up. Camille had a little decorative brochure that she made up, and we kind of made I think Elise, our sports information director, did a couple things too, some graphics. So
instead of just going to your alumni base and fan base and saying, hey, we need X thousands of dollars, right? I mean, it's hurdles. You're right. The good news, bad news is each individual hurdle is kind of economical. Sadly, you need at least 80 for an outdoor facility, right? I mean, the multiplier gets you, right? And yes, I realize I'm talking as your equipment manufacturer here. I understand that, what you're going through. And trust me, we work extremely hard to make this as economical as possible. I had a guy yesterday tell me he came in, what did he come in to get? It's one of the local coaches around here. I think he was coming in just to get a javelin or something like that. But I overheard him talking to one of my customer service reps. And he's like, when I first started coaching track in the 70s, you could buy a pole vault pit for like $2,000. And I'm like, you also realize in the 70s, I could buy a car for about $2,000. And now it's 50, 60, 70,000, right? Like, unfortunately, that's, but we're so traditionalist in track. We always want to go back. Well, when I was an athlete, don't ask Coach Drake how much he paid for hurdles. He is probably pennies on the dollar. I want to pay
that amount now.
Yeah, well, I can get you that, but the quality is going to be a little different.
Banana hurdles.
You know the straws they use at McDonald's? That might be what your uprights are. And but what I love that you did, Jesse, and I want you to maybe expound on it a little bit. So instead of just going out and saying, hey, here's the dollar amount we need, whatever it was, I can't do the math, 160 times 80, it's a lot, right? So let's call it 10,000. Remember, from Alabama, so we're going to use easy numbers here.
Roughly 1,400 or 14,000. I'm sorry, 14,000.
Yeah, you just made everybody go, oh, let's call Mike for hurdles. It was 1,400. Yeah,
14,000.
14,000. Yeah. So instead of saying, hey, here's our seat, here's what we need. We need 14,000. Donate, please. Some people will take the extra step and say, well, that's going to go to hurdles. Okay, well, that helps people who, maybe want to donate or not. You talked about the brochure and some things that your SIDs did. You helped kind of envision what, if I'm going to be a donor, that money is going to go to. What was the thought behind that? And what are some of the things that you did on that brochure and stuff like that?
So, I mean, I did work with Scott Phelps a lot. I've now have his cell phone number and I text him all the time. So, which is a good and bad thing. I'm like, Scott, I need this right now. So we had a donkey here at and that's the big upright thing that's on wheels. People that you don't, some people are like, I say the donkey. I'm like,
no, we're not talking about my time at Troy, which would be a physical animal donkey. We're talking about this, thing, right?
But we had and that was what I wanted on the hurdle. And what I did is just took a picture and I sent it to Mike, and he made up, or I guess the sketch people at Gill made up the design and sent it to me. I was like, well, perfect. I can use that. We can put that on some brochures, put that online. This is what people are going to be donating for. It really, I could put a picture out there, like you said earlier. This is what the money's going towards. This is the exact product. We're not changing things up. We need 80 of them. Let's do it. So
to expand a little bit, he mentioned Scott Phelps. I got to give a shout out. That's one of my teammates here, man. Love him to death. He was a former coach himself, which like a lot of us here are. He coached up at, where was he at? He was at Northeastern, did his GA work at the University of Texas. He's a University of Illinois alum. Dude was a 151 half miler. Like, it always impresses me. I'm like, dude, you're fast, man. That's pretty good. So love him. He's one of our sales reps here, one of my teammates. Love him to death. I'm so glad that you have his cell phone and you bug him. That's awesome, because I'm really busy, Jesse. I am on a daily basis doing podcasts. I don't have time to do all your other stuff. I'm too busy doing podcasts and then driving in the snow to middle school meets like yesterday. So,
yeah.
But no, Scott's one of our great teammates. We got 2 new teammates coming up. Actually, another a distance runner, Jesse. Maybe we'll have you go at him. Mr. Rob's going to start with us here. Actually, when this publishes, so when you're listening to this right now, I bet you Rob's first day is today. And then super excited on June 1, kind of close to you, we've got a Coastal Carolina alum. He graduates in May. He's a pole vaulter. So the good doctor will talk to him about that kind of stuff. And we're excited for River Mar. And he has the coolest name. The guy's name is River, Ryver.
Wow.
Come on, man.
I like it.
Yeah, we're a bunch of Mikes and Jessies. Now, Camilla, that's a pretty cool name. I got to give you that. But, us born. I love Unique. Yeah. I'm tired of all these Mikes and Jessies and stuff like that. That's just boring. So this guy's name's River. I was like, well, that's pretty cool, man. So we got him coming on board too. So you'll get to know him. But so what we did is you talked about, we put up a sketch. We did a mock-up for the hurdle. And we could do some pretty cool things on the gate boards. And if you've seen the Instagram and Facebook post, you'll see that hurdle. I'm using that for the announcement for this week's podcast. And then, so what I love about that is you helped envision your donors. It's one thing to say, hey, would you be interested in donating $160? Right. So I give you $160. I don't really know where that money goes a lot of times, right? I know there's a lot of things you got to do as a track program. You got to get your kids in shoes and uniforms, and there's snacks when you go to meets. You got to have food for them, Gatorades and Powerades, whatever, all that kind of stuff. I get that, but when you put that vision out there, that vision board, if you will, of that hurdle, that just seemed to be much more like, oh, when I give Jesse 160, 320, 1,000, I'm actually buying the program 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever hurdles. Like, that feels like, so now when I come to a meet, or if I see a picture, if I'm not even able to come to a meet, I can look at those hurdles like, oh, yeah, you see that right there? I helped. I gave back to my alma mater. Or I gave to coaches that I support. I love that, man. I just thought that was it seems so intuitive, right? Like, I know a lot of people are listening right now going, yeah, okay, duh, that does make sense. But I don't see it happening a lot. I see a lot of GoFundMe's and, giving days and stuff like that. I don't see that a lot, that extra step. And that's what I thought was so special about what you were doing. And my hopes of having you on here, my hopes is that we help other programs take that extra step. So let's ask, was it successful? Like,
yeah, we hit our mark. I just checked. We had 53 people donate $100 or more.
wow.
So
wait, that's pretty outstanding no matter what, but we're talking about coming through COVID times. There's a lot of people that are out of work, underworked. You know what I'm saying? We're not exactly in a boom town right now, unless you're in the stock market, which is so weird because that just tells you how detached from reality the stock market is.
401k is going good.
Yeah.
Or that was under 6 months too.
Yeah.
In under 6 months.
Yeah.
Wow. Bravo, gang. I know it took everybody on picture here and a lot more of the people. Bravo. Great job.
I think we got this started in early September.
Yeah.
I believe.
We were done by February.
Yeah.
way to, in the face of everything's against you, COVID, you're not able to see people, you're not able to, show the need on the track itself. You couldn't even be on the track, those kind of things. But what ingenuity way of doing this and bringing value to your program and bringing value to the donors. Again, I think that's just it's just a unique extra step way to do that. So
one thing we also did too, to like kind of show our donors that we appreciated them, was we had a banner made with everyone's name, or they could have dedicated it to someone else. So if they did give money towards a hurdle, their name is on a banner for us outside of our track. And if you gave $500 or more, you got your own banner.
Your own individual banner.
Yep.
Wow. Hey, I love that. Again, what you're doing there is you're showing thanks. You're showing appreciation. When you have to fundraise again here in the next year, 2 years, whatever, those same people are going to be like, well, you know what? Look what happened last time. They thanked me by doing X and Y and Z, not just, oh, here's Jesse calling again, wants another paycheck for whatever. I don't even know what, like, I look out there, I don't know what my money went to. Again, it's that concrete proof of what your hard-earned money, you're asking for people's hard-earned money, what that did for your program, man. I just think that is, there's a lot of value there for other programs to mimic and improve upon, add on to that. So to help, this is part one step, was this podcast to talk about what the staff did, but also Jesse and I worked on a little LinkedIn article, just some easy Q&As, just to kind of, maybe you prefer to read things versus seeing them or hearing them. So again, just want to kind of spread that word of how can you potentially help your program grow, whether it's track and field equipment. Of course, I'm going to love that. I'm here at Gill Athletics, full disclosure, but maybe it's shoes or food, or maybe it's for a big trip. Maybe you're trying to fundraise to go on a big spring break trip in the next year or two. That's just awesome. We're under-resourced as track and field. So anything that we can do to help close that gap or raise that level of funding for our track and field athletes and track and field coaches, it's a positive. That's plain and simple positive. What else, Jesse, as we start wrapping up today, what else do we need to know about this fundraiser or about your staff or anything like that?
Well, we're about to start another one, so keep your eyes out for that.
I did not know that.
No, that was a surprise.
Oh man, what are we doing?
I got another plan set.
Always.
We're trying to get some bids for it right now, but we're looking to upgrade the locker room.
Oh, nice. Yeah, great. Hey, you know what? Good coaches and good head coaches always have what's next.
Yep.
Right. You can't be as a coach, you can't be satisfied. A kid runs 14 flat in the hurdles. You're like, oh, that's awesome. Now, how do we get to 1390? How do we get to 1390?
So as we were wrapping up, I'm like, all right, Jesse, we need to make this money for these blockers. I was like, we only need 5 banners.
You start measuring in banners, right? I love it, man. I love it. So guys, thank you so much for being here, and make sure you tell the good doctor that I appreciate his time today. I know he's busy, as evidenced by he's the only one who actually had to go and do something. The rest of us are like, I got nothing to do today. We'll just stay here for a few hours. But I'm just so thankful. One of the goals of the podcast is to provide value to others. And while we didn't get to go deep into each of your stories, which I love, if you've listened to the podcast at all, I love to talk about your entire journey in this great sport. We'll chat for hours. I don't care. I'm not busy. Scott's doing all the work over in the office. I got a lot of free time here. So we didn't get to go too in deep. Maybe we'll schedule here in the next couple seasons. Maybe we'll get you back on here. Camille, you got a lot. You got to write some chapters in your book. You're still at the intro.
Still writing.
Yeah. Still writing.
Jesse, you are barely into chapter 3, my friend. Don't forget. You got Richard Drake in front of you. You got the best example. By the way, what a great name too. Golly, I got to get him.
Guess what his nickname is?
His nickname is Drake the Snake.
This might be Track's version of the most interesting man in the world, right? Like that Dos Equis, whatever it is, commercial. This might be it. Wow, man. I love that guy. I don't even know him. That's awesome. Make sure you tell him there's some dude in Illinois who loves him. He's awesome. Love him to death. Well, guys, thank you so much for your time and energy today. Your openness about coming on here and talking about the things that you did for fundraising. Sometimes that's a little hard to talk about, but I do appreciate you being an open book and providing value for others. That is ultimately the best thing that you can do. And again, go check out LinkedIn. I'll have it on mine. We'll put it on social media and stuff like that. But if you want to read that, maybe that's a good thing to slide over to your AD. Like, look what these guys did. Maybe we need to be doing that. But anything, again, to just raise value. So again, thank you so much for your time today, guys. I really do appreciate you so much.
Yeah, Mike, I appreciate it. And I mean, real quick, I got to just give out shout out to Camilla. I mean, she's been a great addition to the staff. I'm glad Richmond and I got the interview here last May-ish, June. So she's been a great addition, and we're really happy she got to join the Marlins this year. So
Thank you. It's appreciative to have me.
So that was your annual review right there,
Yep.
Camilla. That was awesome. You've done a great job.
one's coming up sometime in June. We got the new AD coming in, so we got that one's coming up.
I think the lessons there are: one, always hire a Troy Trojan. You cannot go wrong, right?
Go Trojans.
That's right. Go Trojans. And two, make sure you are connected with me on Twitter or LinkedIn as well. That's a good place too. But hit me up at Mike Cunningham. I make it easy for you. It's just my name. I don't have all these crazy Marlin 1, 2, 3 this stuff, man. It's just Mike Cunningham. Just my name. But connect with me there and connect with these guys and gals here, man. They are awesome people providing value, and it's cool to keep up and watch Marlins go over the hurdles. That'd be cool.
Right.
I want to see Bob do hurdles. Oh, can you make that happen?
Oof. We might have to put them down all the way.
Oh, for sure. Don't kill the guy or gal that's inside that thing. Yeah, I'm not trying to set a world record for mascot hurdling.
We'll have to get a hurdler in it.
Yeah. Oh man, that'd be awesome. I want to see Bob go over hurdles. Those hurdles. That would be amazing. That's your next.
That's our next. Yeah.
That's your next promo video for your next banner campaign. Well, thanks for joining us, guys and gals that you are listening as well. I'm just so appreciative of your time. You know, it's I've always asked for at least an hour every week from you, and you provide it every time. And I'm just so thankful. If you received value from today's podcast, which was the ultimate goal here, please, I bet someone else in your network would receive value as well. Share it on Facebook, Twitter, obviously, LinkedIn. I don't know. What are you cool? Camilla, you're the youngest one here. You're the coolest one here. What are you using?
I love Twitter. Twitter has been great to me, especially for recruiting.
I love Twitter.
And I think mostly in our sport, because I talk to other coaches in other sports, and they're like, they don't use Twitter. And I'm like, what? Like, all my recruits off of Twitter. Like,
yeah. What are you on TikTok or anything like that?
No, I don't really have time for all that stuff.
Yeah, I don't know all that. I just don't. I get it, I guess, but I just you can only do so much, right? And there's like 1 billion social medias now, so I'm on Facebook, TikTok. See, I just messed it up. Twitter is my number one. Instagram, yeah, I don't really do much there. But whatever you're on, that's all that matters. If you're on any of those, make sure you share. Yeah, share. Hey, good old email. I would love for you to email or text a friend of yours in the coaching community a link to this podcast or one of our past podcasts. Again, it's all about giving value. So it's all about you giving value to other people. So thank you so much for being here today, and join us next week when we'll have another awesome coach to connect you with. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye.